Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and wondered, who are they when no one is watching? Not the person they present to the world, not the role they play, but their truest self. The one that emerges in the quiet, unguarded moments. In a world where appearances are polished and words are carefully chosen, it's easy to mistake charm for virtue, confidence for character. We trust what we see, yet time and again we're surprised, disappointed even, when someone's true nature reveals itself in ways we never expected. But what if you didn't have to wait for betrayal, disappointment, or conflict to see a person for who they really are? What if the signs were always there, hidden in plain sight? The Stoics believed that character is not built in a single moment of crisis. It is revealed there. And if you know what to look for, you can see beyond the surface long before that moment arrives. You don't need complex psychological theories or years of experience. You only need to observe two things. These two principles are subtle yet powerful. They define how a person interacts with the world, how they treat others, and ultimately how they navigate life itself. Once you understand them, you'll never see people the same way again. You'll recognize integrity, or the lack of it, not in grand gestures, but in the smallest choices. And as you sharpen your perception of others, you may also find yourself reflecting on your own actions, questioning, what do they reveal about me? So, if you've ever wondered how to see through deception, how to distinguish the genuine from the false, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a lens through which to view human nature with clarity and wisdom. And if this journey resonates with you, consider subscribing to the Mindful Sphere channel. Together, let's cultivate a life of deeper awareness and stronger character. Now, let's begin with the first principle. 1. How a person treats those who can't return the favor. If you truly wish to see the essence of someone's character, watch how they treat those who have nothing to offer in return. Not in moments when generosity is expected, nor when kindness brings praise, but in the quiet, unseen interactions with those who hold no power, no influence, no ability to repay. A person's true nature is not revealed in how they treat their superiors, their colleagues, or those they admire. These interactions are often laced with self-interest, guided by the invisible hand of social expectation. But observe how someone speaks to a waiter, a janitor, a delivery worker. Watch their demeanor when dealing with a struggling stranger, a lost child, or an elderly person moving at a slower pace. Do they show patience and respect, or do they display irritation and indifference? These moments, often fleeting and overlooked, hold the most profound truths. The Stoics believed that virtue is not something displayed for the approval of others, but something practiced as a reflection of one's true self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." To a Stoic, kindness is not a transaction, it is a principle. A man who helps only when there is applause is not truly kind, just as a person who speaks well of virtue but does not live by it is not truly virtuous. Imagine a bustling cafe on a Monday morning. The barista, overwhelmed by the morning rush, hands a customer the wrong order. In that instant, the customer's response is not just about the mistake, it is a window into their character. Some will snap, roll their eyes, and belittle the barista as if an inconvenience to their day is an unforgivable offense. Others will pause, smile, and correct the mistake with patience, understanding that no one is immune to error. The difference between these reactions is not merely one of politeness, it is a reflection of something deeper. The first response reveals a fragile ego, one that clings to dominance over others to feel in control. The second reflects self-mastery, an understanding that frustration is fleeting and that our treatment of others shapes not only them, but also ourselves. Now, expand this principle beyond a single interaction. How does someone treat the doorman at their office, the housekeeper at their hotel, the cashier at the grocery store? These are not trivial details. They are the raw, unfiltered glimpses into a person's moral fiber. Someone who is dismissive, impatient, or cruel toward those in service roles often carries that same disregard into their personal and professional relationships. They may mask it when dealing with people they wish to impress, but eventually, the truth reveals itself. There is an old saying, "A man is only as good as how he treats those who can do nothing for him." A person who is kind only when it serves them is not truly kind. They are merely strategic. True character is measured in how we act when there is nothing to gain. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, taught that our actions must align with our values at all times, not just when convenient. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. This means that the small, unnoticed moments, holding the door for a stranger, offering a word of encouragement to someone struggling, treating a server with dignity, are not just acts of decency. They are reflections of who we are. But what about those who choose arrogance instead? The ones who scoff at the notion of humility, who see kindness as a weakness? The Stoics understood this behavior well. People who belittle others often do so out of their own insecurity. Their cruelty is not a sign of strength, but of weakness, an attempt to assert control where they feel none. In psychology, this is often linked to deep-seated feelings of inadequacy. The need to dominate others, to make them feel small, stems from a fear of being small themselves. Consider two colleagues, Alex and Jamie, both of whom visit the same cafe daily. Alex, despite being busy, always takes a moment to thank the staff, acknowledging their effort. Jamie, on the other hand, treats every minor inconvenience as a personal attack, complaining loudly when service is not instant. Over time, their behavior forms a pattern, one of quiet respect and the other of entitlement. If you were to choose a friend, a partner, or a leader, which of these two would you trust? These patterns are not limited to coffee shops and restaurants. Consider how a person behaves in relationships, in business, in friendships. Do they treat those beneath them with fairness, or do they abuse their position? Do they offer respect only when they stand to benefit, or is it given freely as a natural extension of their values? The Stoics did not merely preach observation of others, they urged introspection. It is not enough to recognize poor character in someone else. We must also examine ourselves. How do we treat those who cannot repay us? Do we act with grace when it would be easier to act with indifference? A test. The next time you are in a situation where kindness is optional, where patience is not required but merely possible, observe your response. When the waiter is slow, when the receptionist is distracted, when a stranger seeks help, what do you do? Not for the sake of appearing virtuous, but because your reaction is a reflection of your inner world. Think of history's great leaders and philosophers, those whose wisdom and integrity stood the test of time. Were they not defined by their treatment of the most vulnerable? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, saw himself not as a ruler above others, but as a servant to the greater good. He understood that power is fleeting, but virtue endures. Contrast this with tyrants, whose cruelty toward the powerless was not a sign of their strength, but of their weakness. Those who belittle others in moments of superiority often crumble when faced with real adversity. For true character is not tested when things are easy, but when power is in one's hands. Now, apply this understanding to your own life. Who do you trust? Who do you welcome into your circle? The answer lies not in how someone speaks, nor in how they present themselves when the world is watching. Instead, it lies in the small, everyday choices they make, the ones that reveal, without a doubt, whether their kindness is a mask or a way of being. Marcus Aurelius offers a final reminder. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Character is not built in great moments of decision, but in the small, everyday choices we make. If we wish to surround ourselves with people of integrity, we must first become one ourselves. So, the next time you meet someone new, don't judge them by their words, their titles, or their social status. Instead, watch how they treat the invisible people in their lives. Their true nature will not be spoken, it will be shown. 2. The psychological value of keeping promises. The way a person treats their promises is a powerful reflection of their true character. A promise, no matter how small, is more than just a verbal commitment. It is a bond of trust, an unspoken acknowledgement that another person matters. To the Stoics, keeping one's word was not about convenience or social obligation, but about integrity. To promise something and follow through is to live in alignment with one's values. It is a testament to self-discipline, reliability, and respect, not just for others, but for oneself. In contrast, a broken promise is more than a simple disappointment. It is an erosion of trust, a fracture in the foundation of character. Consider what it means when Inasimi consistently honors their word. They send a clear message. I value you, and my word holds weight. Their actions create a sense of stability, a foundation on which relationships can stand. But when someone habitually fails to follow through, their words lose meaning. The disappointment they cause is not merely about the inconvenience of an unfulfilled promise. It is about the realization that their commitments are hollow. Trust, once weakened, is not easily restored. Psychologists like Albert Bandura emphasize that our actions shape our identity just as much as they shape how others perceive us. Every promise kept strengthens the foundation of our character, while every broken word chips away at it. Imagine this: a friend promises to help you move into a new apartment on the weekend. You arrange your plans around their assurance, trusting their words. Then, at the last moment, you receive a vague text, an excuse about being too busy or something else coming up. You are left scrambling for help. The frustration you feel is not just about the inconvenience, it's the realization that their words do not carry the weight you thought they did. Now, contrast this with another friend who not only shows up as promised, but brings extra supplies to make the move easier. This action, no matter how small, strengthens the bond between you. Their reliability is a reflection of their character. The true test of integrity does not come when things are easy. It comes when keeping a promise becomes inconvenient. It is effortless to follow through when circumstances are favorable. But what about when obstacles arise? When fulfilling a commitment requires sacrifice, effort, or discomfort? It is in these moments that a person's true nature is revealed. Those who persist, who hold true to their word despite difficulty, demonstrate not only reliability, but moral strength. They show that their commitments are tied to their principles, not to fleeting circumstances. Consider a workplace scenario. A manager promises their team that they will advocate for better resources to improve workflow. When they encounter resistance from upper management, they face a choice: retreat and abandon their promise, or persist and seek alternative solutions. The manager who follows through, even in the face of difficulty, earns the trust of their team. Their words and actions align, proving them to be a leader of substance. But the manager who backs down at the first sign of resistance, making excuses instead of finding solutions, sends a different message: that their words lack conviction, that their promises are given lightly. Even more telling than the act of breaking a promise is how one responds to their failure. No one is perfect. Even the most disciplined individuals sometimes fall short. The key lies in accountability. A person of integrity acknowledges their mistake, offers a sincere apology, and seeks to make amends. This humility preserves trust and shows respect for those they have let down. In contrast, someone who deflects blame, downplays their failure, or acts as if their broken promise is inconsequential reveals a lack of responsibility. They expose a disregard not only for others, but for their own credibility. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control every external event, we can always control our response. A broken promise is not always avoidable, but how one handles it is a choice. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This means not just keeping promises when it is easy, but taking responsibility when we fall short. Another critical aspect of promise keeping is knowing one's limits. Many people overpromise, agreeing to commitments they cannot realistically fulfill. Perhaps they fear disappointing others, or they enjoy the feeling of being needed. But repeatedly taking on more than one can handle creates a cycle of unreliability. It is better to say no with honesty than to say yes and fail to follow through. The Stoics valued wisdom above all, and wisdom includes self-awareness, understanding one's capabilities and speaking truthfully about them. To promise what one cannot deliver is not kindness. It is a form of self-deception that ultimately leads to disappointment. Observing how others handle their commitments offers deep insight into their character. Pay attention not to grand promises, but to small, everyday commitments. Arriving on time, meeting deadlines, following through on casual plans. These minor actions often speak louder than elaborate words. A person who honors small promises is likely to treat greater commitments with the same integrity. Conversely, someone who dismisses small commitments as unimportant may do the same with larger ones when it matters most. For example, imagine a co-worker who assures their team they will complete their part of a project by a certain date. If they deliver on time, they reinforce trust and reliability within the group. But if they miss the deadline without warning or explanation, they not only disrupt the project's progress, but also undermine confidence in their dependability. Over time, these patterns become impossible to ignore. Beyond how we observe others, we must also turn inward. How often do we keep the promises we make to ourselves? These internal commitments, whether it is to pursue a goal, develop a new skill, or practice self-discipline, are just as vital as external ones. Each time we follow through on a personal promise, we strengthen our own confidence and reinforce the belief that we are capable of consistency. Each time we fail, we risk eroding our self-trust. Consider someone who vows to exercise daily, learn a new language, or spend more time reading. If they stick to their commitment, they not only grow in skill, but also cultivate discipline. But if they consistently neglect their goal, brushing it off with excuses, they reinforce a habit of self-betrayal. And just like breaking promises to others damages trust, breaking promises to oneself damages self-respect. Ultimately, the practice of keeping promises, both to others and to ourselves, is about alignment between words and actions. It is not about perfection, but about consistency, sincerity, and intentionality. The Stoics believed that a person's integrity is among their most valuable possessions, and every promise kept strengthens this foundation. In a world where words are often spoken carelessly, let your promises stand as a testament to your character. Whether it is a simple assurance to meet a friend for coffee or a life-altering vow to support a loved one, each fulfilled promise reinforces the trust you share with others and deepens your connection to your values. Keeping one's word is not about impressing others. It is about being the kind of person whose actions align with their principles. Pay close attention to how someone handles their commitments. Do they honor their word, even when it is difficult? Do they acknowledge their mistakes and make amends? Do they approach their promises with sincerity and thoughtfulness? The answers to these questions offer a clear window into their character, and just as we judge others by these standards, we must also hold ourselves to them. Because at the end of the day, the person most affected by our ability to keep promises is us. Ultimately, true character is not measured by grand declarations or fleeting moments of virtue, but by the quiet consistency of our actions. It is in the small, everyday gestures, the promises kept without applause, the kindness extended without expectation, that a person's essence is revealed. Words may paint an image, but it is through action that integrity is truly seen. When we honor our commitments, we do more than strengthen the trust others place in us. We fortify our own self-respect, shaping the person we become. As you take a moment to reflect, consider how these insights might shift the way you see those around you, and perhaps even yourself. Are there promises you could approach with greater sincerity? Small acts of integrity that could bring you closer to the values you hold. Growth is not about perfection, but about awareness and intention. Each choice, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming someone whose words and actions are in harmony. If today's discussion resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever learned something profound about someone's character through the way they treated others or handled a promise? Share your experiences in the comments below. I read everyone. And if you found value in this, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a simple way to stay connected and continue exploring the wisdom that helps us live with greater clarity and purpose. Thank you for being part of this journey. In our next video, we'll uncover another powerful principle that will change the way you navigate relationships and understand human nature. Until then, remember, character is built in the moments no one is watching, and every promise kept, no matter how small, is a testament to who you are. See you next time.